Hey guys, Akariss here, bringing you a much needed video, I feel. This one is going to cover Forma Souls, and I think this is a much, I've never covered Forma Souls on the YouTube channel, and I feel it's very important to talk about because now it's technically an F2P option, and this is such a premium resource that you might feel like there's never a good time to use it. If you've already used it before watching this video, then you were a bit too hasty, because ultimately nothing that just happened would be appealing for a Forma Soul. I hope that this can help you guys if you buy one maybe, or you are still holding on to that F2P one, that you hold on to it, because I'm going to tell you why you should hold on to it and maybe pull the trigger on something that matters a lot. So with that being said, sit back and enjoy the information that is about to happen. Alright guys, so as you can see, Hall of Forms, we have now a free Forma Soul thanks to the anniversary. But what I'm really going to talk about here is where you should use it, when you should use it, why you should use it, and how it can be the most impactful to you. If you play competitively, obviously this video is tailored towards getting the max value out of that Forma Soul. As an F2P player, this is very important to me because I'm going to have like decision paralysis, and I'm sure a lot of people might have it as well if it's like the one and only Forma Soul you'll get. Because I feel like the next time we get one might be literally next year on the anniversary. These are so premium that it's hard to make a decision, but I will still push you towards a specific direction with that in mind. If you don't know what a Forma Soul is or what Hall of Forms is, it's basically build your own character, and based on kills those characters get, they can now be bought after Hall of Forms' end with those skills intact at a neutral IV. You can then add merges to it and potentially be used in any content that you want. The beauty of this is that instead of pulling those skills, those very premium skills that you could obtain, you can now officially do that with Hall of Forms and pick up an exact unit with usually the exact set you need to make a huge impact in whatever game mode you want. That's basically Hall of Forms in a nutshell, and hopefully you guys get what you want, because there's still some element of luck involved, but generally this is what it is. So with that being said, guys, there is something I really want to touch on, which is going to combine the splash screen you see here and this info text here. Again, this is the final result of Hall of Forms, and you take the skills that you wanted through using that unit, and you could have something like that. Obviously Leaf is not an ideal option. I'm not going to recommend that, but this is essentially what it looks like at the end. You pick that up, you spend a full Forma Soul. Now what I really want to start with saying is that it might be a good idea to wait. And the reason it's a good idea to wait is because if you just look at the splash screen, you have legendary heroes there, including Air, who's a mythic. And my prediction is that within this year passing, I totally expect at least a single legendary hero to show up in the Hall of Forms, and potentially more. And the reason for that is the splash screen could be a total tease, but I really don't think it is. And hear me out. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first one is legendary hero remixes. So now that they've kind of put old legendary heroes into a remix banner and future remix banners, IS clearly devalues those legendary heroes and doesn't really care about giving them away because they're on a Spark system and they're not sharing with the more newer stuff. They're kind of like, hey, this is old. If you want to build this, go ahead. It's not as impactful to us anymore, so go ahead. So I feel with that in mind, they easily could now officially say, hey, there's a Fjorm in the Hall of Forms. If you're building Fjorm, here's a good way to give her the exact skill set you want and to add a merge. That's one thing. But also, the splash screen and legendary hero remix, there is this text that has been hidden there from the start, which actually implies that we should get legendary or mythic heroes down the road. Right there it says Forma XP from your castle doesn't apply, but legendaries and mythics in Hall of Forms would still obtain double XP. That is a very strong indicator that they will likely show up in the Hall of Forms. Now, this may just be completely guesswork and they may never bring mythics or legendaries here, but having a merge on a legendary for essentially free, because we got this Forma Soul for free, is huge, and on top of that you get the skill set you would want. I would wait for this potential opportunity, and I'll cover ways to look at it that way, but that's huge if that's possible, and you're working on any of these old legendary heroes. I don't expect new ones, I don't expect new mythics or new legendaries to show here, but I definitely could see them like throwing in one of these legendary heroes, especially on the splash screen, or any old one, and say, here, build the legendary you want, and that's essentially a free merge. So, just as a reference though, I know that Ether Raids' help text says that you can spend Ether Stones to buy new Ether Raids maps. I'm still waiting on that one, by the way, which is why this may not even happen, but I still think it's possible. And if it's possible, it's good enough to be patient. Now, that doesn't mean that you should never spend your Forma Soul until you see Legendary Mythic, especially if you don't care about Legendaries or Mythics. I mean, just pick your favorite character and spend it at that point, because like really this video wouldn't really apply to you. But if you want to get, I feel, the most impact out of this, what I'm going to recommend here, guys, is actually looking at these particular characters or heroes that could happen. So first up, I'm going to cover Cav Healers. Okay, Cav Healers, I feel, give you the most impact out of a Forma Soul, besides legendaries or mythics. And the first one I'm going to cover here is Silk, actually. So Silk here is not running any blessings, and as you can see by the build here, you have some very premium and seasonal skills that make a huge impact on AR defense. And I feel like if you want to make an impact, like the most amount of impact, AR defense is a place to look at. With that being said, look at what we got here. We got Grand Scratcher, which gives special acceleration, creates a team with same attack stat that can give you huge amounts of potential. Return is on here. Return is a great heal assist now. The special doesn't matter, honestly, but here we have some really exclusive premium stuff. So for defense res would be on here on Silk just because of her defense stat. If you actually were to put her on Dark Season and potentially have Hell there or an infantry school, Silk can now officially restore or assist without caring about Mila on a turn 2 especially. So that's an interesting little niche that she has. But on top of that, Cavs can use pulse tie skills, and Silk has an HP stat for it. So if you wanted to use HP skills as well on the A or the Seal, she can do that. Silk is an interesting Cav healer because she's like one of the few who fits this criteria, and she's grailable. She's not exactly very offensive, but her defensive nature is interesting to counter Mila potentially, or to run stuff like Odd Pulse Tie should you run into more of a PvE player who runs into you with special acceleration. Those two things are really interesting, but the kicker here is Odd Recovery. Odd Recovery is an amazing AR defense skill, and obviously I haven't covered it on YouTube or Twitter much, but on Twitch I have been a huge advocator of it. It enhances the strength of your AR defense team by immense amounts. You are now pretty much immune to isolation if you design your defense team properly. Tactics room doesn't affect you much. As long as you're running some sort of Cav line face hunter type team where you're basically aggressive on turn 1, Odd Recovery enables you and has very little counterplay. It's like, here is isolation and here's the counter to isolation, Odd Recovery. This combination of skills is really good and the most impactful thing you could do off of a Forma Soul, I feel. But of course, Silk might not be what you're aiming for, in which case I feel like Nana may happen, and Nana basically would pick up similar skills but more of an offensive nature, and Nana doesn't cause grails. So there you have it. You have basically the premium stuff, Grand Scratcher, Return, but now instead of like more defensive or pulse tie stuff, you can pick up low speed res and attack speed push 4, pretty premium stuff as well. I mean, it's not that rare, but it's good enough to get for free that you don't have to spend orbs for, and you have yourself a very dangerous healer in this aspect, maybe running Restore and creating a Restore trap. I think if you're going to aim for it, Cav healers are huge. One thing I'm not covering in this video that may also be really good in the future is a flying healer, and if we get a ground order seal. That way you could combine Odd Recovery plus a ground order seal and have yourself a really dynamic healer on defense that doesn't necessarily have to pressure. Bridal Form would have been a good choice if Ground Order Seal existed, I think, and if Odd Recovery and Return could have been picked up from the holoforms that just happened. If those conditions were met, she would have been an okay pickup, but we don't know if we'll get that seal, and we don't really know, well, we do kind of know next Hall of Forms probably has those skills in there, but that's still very important to think about. Right now, as it stands, I feel the most impactful thing you could do is pick up a Cav Healer, so I showcased potentially Silk or Nana having that in the future. Now, let's get into this is the stuff I need to save my Forma Souls for, which is going to be Legendary Heroes. Okay, Legendary Heroes, as you can see here, honestly, axe options are not that crazy, so like if you're going to use it on Legendary Hector, just pick up something like this. Just pick up really difficult skills to get, or very premium seasonal stuff, high Goita, rally ups, you know, the stuff that is harder or you need to summon for is basically what I would throw on Hector. But again, the point of this, as was mentioned in the beginning, is Hector is a free merge, and you just pick up some extra nice skills on top of that. So there's an example of a legendary hero I could absolutely see showing up, let's say half a year down the road, and if you spent your Forma Soul too early on something else, you may regret it, because that would have been an easy merge. If you're actually just watch my legendary hero remakes, you know how important something like Hector is as a potential remix, as a potential merge project from remixes, and now adding an additional free merge plus all these premium skills there just really amps up the amount of savings you could get from just orbs in general. I can't stress this enough. Okay, but that's not it, of course. Mythics also apply to this. So you can literally get something like that for free. And if you haven't merged your heir to +10, heir is on that splash screen, and she's the first Mythic. I don't think IS values her that much anymore. So you know what, guys? Have a free heir potentially. Now, we just ran through like the Fire Emblem Heroes original characters. Like, we just had those in a Hall of Forms, but I could see them potentially switching things up and maybe adding like a Hall of Forms based on legendaries, just 4 legendaries, maybe mythics, and something that could change things up. As it stands right now, they kind of roll through games, but you know, I don't want to be caught without the chance of getting something crazy like a free legendary or free mythic on an already merging up unit. So this could apply to any of them, but I can't stress enough that you should potentially wait for this opportunity. And if you're going to spend your Forma Soul, I think Cav Healers are essentially the best place to do it. Okay, guys? So thank you for watching. Please let me know in the comments below where you think you want to use your Forma Soul, maybe potential units coming down the road that would likely entice you. I know some favorite characters getting like the dream skill set will definitely, you know, bait some people, and I don't blame you for that. But if you want to make like the best impact, especially in the competitive nature of the game, these are some suggestions that might be worth waiting for. I'm going to be waiting myself. I believe the one coming up is like the Spring White Wings plus Mini Nerva. That's an easy skip for me. Next one after that might be Alms game, where Silk may show up, and that might be an interesting thing to look out for. With that being said, guys, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.